peaceful people struggling with trouble. We don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside places, from foreign places, talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. No, we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to me. Not one to Saki, not one that's great, not one chorus, not a blade of grass.
Through his unique style of music, Dave Martins told many stories. From describing boyhood days to a certain Not a Blade of Grass, he composed lyrical masterpieces, many of which narrated what it means to be a Guyanese. So how did he piece his hits together? Let's find out.
Hi, my name is Dave Martins. I am a West Coast country boy, born and raised at Hague and later at Vredenhoop. I am 87.
I know you have a very popular song called Boyhood Days, and you said time cannot erase, so I must bring you back to this very important question here. What were your boyhood days like?
My boyhood days was actually a lot like most boys. Looking for birds, chewing gum, sapodilla gum from the tree to trap birds, bird traps. Scouting the yard looking for guavas, fruit trees. And I was living close to the seawall. We lived in Hague. The seawall was in the backyard. So I'd be on the beach or not in the water too much, because the water there was kind of muddy. My father was away a lot because he had a farm in the Pomeroon, which took his time, full time. I would go down and spend some time with them, especially holidays. So it was mostly my mother and myself and my sisters. I have no brothers. I have four sisters.
And you are the second youngest. And you are the second youngest.
No, I'm the third child. Yeah, 3 sisters before me, and then 1 sister after me. Where I lived, there was very few guys my age in that area, so I had no boyhood friends, so to speak. So when we moved to Vredenhoop, when I started going to Saints, and I moved to Vredenhoop because it was more convenient, and I became friends with the Henry brothers, some Douglas people that lived down the road from us. We were friends up to now. We became pals. So when I started the band, 2 of them were in the band. That was the band before Trade Winds. It's a long, gradual process for me, music. It didn't happen overnight. Listening to the music in the house, or the music listening to me, one or the other. A lot of old 78s, but radio, a lot of it was radio. That ignited my interest in the music, and the radio stations, as now, played a variety of music. So from that music, I was listening to it mostly at Vredenhoop, some of it at Hague, but more at Vredenhoop days. I was listening to all kind of music, jazz, rock and roll, classical, a lot of classical. I became interested in classical music because I was drawn by the long structures, classical pieces that go on. One piece will go on for 15 minutes, And I was drawn to that. I don't know why, I just was, And I think so a lot of that interest, when I started to write, I was going in that direction. I was going towards more descriptive work rather than, a lot of popular music is instantaneous work, you know, about bang, bang, bang. But the wider music, the classical music, is more extended. It goes over long periods, and that always interested me. It's not always the most commercial music, but it interested me from young. I found Toronto a very exciting place. I mean, I was exposed to stuff I never dreamed of in my life living in Guyana. This is a big city, metropolitan city. Sort myself out. And I sorted myself out and started playing music and started a little band, like I said. I named it the Latins. That was a kind of a business move, because I knew from living in Guyana that Latin music, unlike now, Latin music was very popular in Guyana at that point.
And then you changed the name to the Debonaires and then eventually the Trade Winds. Yeah. So how did you get from that point to that point? How did we get from the Latins to the Trade Winds?
There were two things at play. I wanted a commercial entity, but I had to be realistic in that the commercial entity in Toronto was not Caribbean music at all. Some of the stations would play a little bit of it, but the big Caribbean movement to the city, New York, Toronto, Los Angeles, Miami, all those places, had not begun. So there was no big demand for Caribbean music, so it'd be kind of crazy to start a band or go up there with a band playing Caribbean music. So I had to come up with a name that suggested what the music was, but not too strongly. So I use the word Trade Winds because Trade Winds blew all over the place. So it covered everything.
We sat down in the pouring rain, in the hot sun and the sugar cane, and we planted the rice and cane. Why ho? Yes, we take off the boots and we put on the roots. Why ho? So remember the crabwood that grow in Essequibo is we own. And the six-sack pea and the sakiriki is we own. And the lava that run from
the progression was very simple. The progression was that we had the product. We had to get it to the market. To get it to the market, with the full Trade Winds band that was recording, I realized we needed a place. We needed a home, a base. So I kept looking around, and I finally found a place right downtown in Toronto that was what was it before? I'm not sure what it was before. It may have been a music place before, but I'm not sure about that. But it was ready-made. It was a downtown club right near the subway, easy for people to come to. Good accommodation, not enormous, hold about maybe 200 people, I guess. But it was perfect for us. So we started playing there 6 nights a week. Full-time music. And so by the time I got to recording and started thinking about recording, because I saw the progression. I needed to get product out. I needed to get recordings. You can't stay in this little place downtown. You got to get on the radio. To get on the radio, you got to have recordings. So by the time I got to that, we had become a force, because the songs had become popular almost right away. The market was sitting waiting for it. You know, Honeymooning Couple was an overnight, like 2-3 weeks, from 0 to number 12 or whatever it was on the chart. So it happened very quickly.
Honeymooning couple was in a bedroom, packing up to go away in the middle of June.
I started out with an interest in country music before I got to Calypso, mainly because that's what my parents played in the house. They had a collection of country music records, and the station played a lot of country music. The station didn't play much soca at all, well, Calypso period, you know. Play it occasionally, unlike Trinidad, where when I went to live in Trinidad afterwards, when the band formed, that's when I got exposed to a lot of vintage Trinidad music, and I became interested in that as well. In the process of going to Trinidad and where my uncle was living, and being exposed to Trinidad music, I had fallen in love with Calypso. The stories, not the double entendre so much, but you have to deal with the double entendre as part of the music. But the narrative form, which is the music, as opposed to the other stuff, which is just love songs, darling, I love you, meet me in the street, and all that. Very, very narrow subject. You exhaust it fairly soon, as I did. So this other subject, you could sing about anything. You could sing about a honeymooning couple, which is a joke. You could sing about a political decision made in the government. You could sing about anything. That grabbed me right away. I could see why the Calypsonian became so popular, because they were able to reach all kinds of people. The different Calypsonians with different styles, but all taking the same approach to some of it sexual, but some of it just comedy, you know.
Even though you left Guyana, it would seem as though your heart never did, because it is reflected in much of your music. Your love for your country is reflected in much of your music. You know, we have very famous Not a Blade of Grass, which you wrote in 1 hour in a hotel room. Is We Own, a long time ago in Guyana. We have Hoopa and Tranjapal, one of my personal favorites. We have songs like Boyhood Days. So you kept that aspect of you in your music.
It's interesting that you ask me that, because that has never been pointed out to me. Nobody ever has been pointed out to me before. How come that happened? I don't really know the answer. It's just that I think it was such a contrast. Don't forget, I was listening to mostly country music, American country music, prior to that, which has none of that. It doesn't have the African rhythm. It doesn't have the humor. Some of it, but not much. It doesn't have the sexual stuff. It doesn't have the narrative, the storytelling. Those are the things about the music that caught me. And some of these guys, Pretender and Blakey and Sparrow and Kitchen and those, the inventiveness, you know, in the music. So I was committed to, I mean, on a business decision point of view, it was not the greatest idea, because there was no huge, there was a market here for it, but it's small compared to the other stuff. So I was going towards the smaller one. Why? I don't know. I just saw so much more range there, and I loved, particularly I loved the actual sound of the drums in Calypso. The actual rhythm I found it very enticing, make you want to get up and dance.
We're a peaceful people, struggling, we struggle. I mean, I look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces, from foreign places, talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river. That belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of
But what led you to write Not a Blade of Grass? How did you come up with these lyrics? I think it was the Venezuela Guyana controversy. How did you come about to say, okay, let me write this piece of music?
Yeah. It's a very probing question, but the fact of the matter is that it is a kind of a mysterious process. I don't even know myself why that particular song. You have to be a good songwriter. I put it this way: to be a good songwriter, you have to have an interest in a lot of things. You have to see a song in a lot of things that most people will pass over and pay no attention to. Honeymooning couple is a joke. My brother-in-law told me this joke. He was living in Atkinson Field, my sister in the house, and he told me this joke. Honeymooning couple, and I didn't tell him nothing, but I said to myself, "Boy, that's a song. That's a really made song." So it's the same thing with the music generally. It's part of what the songwriter is. The songwriter is a guy who is dissecting, he's opening up and looking at stuff and considering it from various angles. He's a prober, you're probing, you know. And sometimes you probe and you think, boy, this is it, this is a hit. And it turns out that not. Or sometimes you're probing and you say, this ain't no more. That's the hit. You know? It's a mysterious process. I call it creative work. It's mysterious.
Your music is much like storytelling. You through your music you tell stories, and what influenced you to produce this type of music?
That's a good question. I don't know what the influence was, but it was there big time. I became, I think one of the biggest surges for me came when my sisters, who were the elders in the family, I was the second youngest in the family. When my sisters, who were 18, 19, 20 years old, I had an uncle living in Trinidad, and they went to Trinidad and came back from Trinidad Carnival crazy about Calypso music and with a lot of current records and so on. And that triggered it in me. So I started paying a lot of attention to that music. It caught me. I don't know why. It just caught me. It was rhythmic. It was real. It was actual, like most very good music, real stories, real incidents. And a lot of the music had become very popular. So you would hear it on the radio as well, you know. That was the surge for me.
Do you have any advice for young Guyanese now who are trying to break into the music industry? Do you have any advice generally for them?
The creative person, whether he's a painter or a musician or a novelist or a composer, whatever it is, he's a different head. He's a different soul. He's seeing stuff and being caught by stuff that other people don't even notice. So it's hard to say how it actually works. I don't know how it actually works myself. I mean, Blade of Grass, for example, is a good example. Venezuela had invaded, and obviously there was a story there, right? But how do you present it? What do you take and say, okay, this is the song? In that instance, I took it down to the very level. I said, listen, we even want you to take a piece of grass off the ground. That means nothing. We don't even want you to take that, you know. So it reduces things to the essentials, I think, or the trivial almost. The only thing that I would want to share is that for creative people, whatever field it is, whether it's music, whether it's dance, whether it's literature, whether it's painting, whatever it is. You have to find, first of all, you have to expose yourself to what has gone before, because some of the things that have gone before will give you ideas. Shite, I never think of that could be a song in truth. You know? So part of it is you have to involve yourself in the genre. You have to get involved in it. You have to want to do that. And that is something that is often missing, because you can't force it. You know, it just comes on certain people. Certain people are attracted by it and say, boy, I like the most other people, the vast majority, just say, oh, okay, I'm gone. Yeah. But it's once you become interested in it, once you see how Sparrow take a song about whatever those subjects are, the range of subjects that guys write about, it opens your mind to the fact that you can find a song about anything. Don't limit yourself, you know. And once you take your, because nobody will say it the way you say it, or nobody will see it the way you see it. So it'll become original. So you may take somebody else's idea and make an original piece out of it. Yeah.
You're
peaceful people struggling with trouble. We don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside the places, from foreign places, talk about taking over.